All right, all right, all right. Check out this four-wheel ocean in Capricorn. And it is January 20th, 2026. We just had a new moon a couple of days ago. It was on the 18th. She was back here in Sagittarius. That was a pretty cool alignment. But now, go to where we're at right now. We still got this four-wheel motion. It's actually five wheels. I was just talking to somebody about a fifth wheel. Yeah, we're definitely going to need four-wheel drive to get through the rest of this winter. We just got hit with a lot of snow where I'm at, but I'm talking spiritually. Because, man, today I want to talk to you guys about this other star in another constellation. Go there now. We're going to talk about ghoul. There's a little bit of information about this star according to Bullinger. He says this isn't Medusa. Okay, so, but we know it as Medusa, right? And ghoul actually happens to be an Arabic word. Let's get over there and check some of this information out real quick. According to Bullinger, it says that Perseus is holding in his left hand a head, which by perversion the Greeks called the head of Medusa, being ignorant that its Hebrew root meant the trodden underfoot. Check this out. It is also called Rosha Satan. In the Hebrew, that means the head of the adversary. It's al-Onay in Arabic, and that's the subdued, or al-Ghul, the evil spirit. And it says that the brightest star in this head has come down to us with the name al-Ghul, which means rolling around. Okay, so the name of this constellation, he said in the Hebrew, is Rasha Satan, the head of the adversary. All right, now I wanted to show you because there's a little bit of controversy about the word alcohol. And this is important because this video is kind of like a prelude. We're going to start to read from the Adam and Eve story. And I saw a similarity here. It says that the demon Al-Ghul, also known as the sinister, treacherous spirit of alcohol, has its origins in Arabic, where the word for alcohol, al-Kuhul, means body-eating spirit, giving root to the English term ghoul. It says in the Middle Eastern folklore, a ghoul is an evil demon believed to consume human bodies, either as stolen corpses or as children. The Arabic name for ethanol is al-Ghal, and that means spirit or demon. The fixed star in astronomy, al-Ghul, is also known as the demon's head, further reinforcing the sinister nature of this spirit. Okay, it says here, al-Ghul, the treacherous spirit, cannot be negotiated with, compromised, or tricked. Those who consume excessive amounts of alcohol may find themselves possessed by another entity as their souls leave their bodies due to traumatic living conditions. This results in a joyride for the dark entity, where the individuals act in a hedonistic and self-serving manner, unaware of their actions. And that's the hardest part about dealing with the alcoholics, man, is they don't even remember what they're doing. And so according to this, in this other blog we're going to go to, it's not even them doing it. I didn't know this. This was interesting here. The demon Algol is associated with the lubrication of the grievous wheel of samsara. So this is pretty interesting. This is from the Costa Rica News. The spiritual consequences of alcohol consumption. So here he ends up breaking down. It says, take a look at the etymology of the word alcohol. And if you don't know, etymology means the root of the word, where it is derived from. So he says the same thing here. It means body eating spirit. And he says that the word al limbic and alcohol, both metaphors for aqua vitae or life water and spirit, often referred to a distilled liquid that came from magical explorations in Middle Eastern alchemy. In the words of writer and health enthusiast Jason Christoph, he said, in alchemy, alcohol is used to extract the soul essence of an entity. Hence, it is used in extracting essences for essential oils and the sterilization of medical instruments. And he said, by consuming alcohol into the body, it in effect extracts the very essence of the soul, allowing the body to be more susceptible to neighboring entities, most of which are of low frequency. Why do you think we call certain alcoholic beverages spirits? So he says that this is why people who consume excessive amounts of alcohol often black out, not remembering what happened. This happens when the good soul, the one we were sent here with, leaves because the living conditions are too polluted and too traumatic to tolerate. The good soul jettisons the body. Made me think of the Jetsons, right? Mr. Spacely was the boss. But listen, he said the good soul jettisons the body, staying connected to a tether, and a dark entity takes the body for a joyride around the block. He said, our bodies are cars for spirits. If one leaves, another can take the car for a ride. So essentially, when someone goes dark after drinking alcohol or polluting themselves in many other ways, their body often becomes possessed by another entity. And so this video is kind of like a prelude because we're going to start to read about the Adam and Eve story. And if you've already read it, the one in the Holy Megillah, you know about Lucifer's plan to use our bodies for joy rides. And so this guy goes on to say, I became aware of this phenomenon years ago when I was given a spiritual vision. In this vision, I was transported as an observer above a popular bar and nightclub. Above the venue were a variety of ghoul-like entities. Inside the bar were people drinking alcohol, socializing, dancing, and so on. I watched as certain people became very drunk. I saw their souls, while connected through a thread, exit the body. I understood that the soul was leaving the body because of the great discomfort of being in a body highly intoxicated with alcohol. When the soul exits the body, another non-benevolent entity enters or latched on to their vacant shell. Once the entity took hold of the body, they used the body to play out all kinds of dark acts such as violence, low-level sexual encounters, destructive behaviors, rape, and more. Yeah. So basically, I think we reiterated that twice. I just wanted you to realize that, man, this stuff is telling us exactly what it is. Now, yeah, that's what we need to be drinking, some olive oil, but not too much. Just a little bit, here and there. But all right. Okay, so how does this connect with the Adam and Eve story, all of this alcohol and stuff? But really quick, I wanted to show you in the Megillah where this connects, because this is the book of Noah, verse 68. It talks about some of these foul arts that were practiced by the Luciferians. And it says one of the foulest of all was that called mixing. Okay. And the seed of one creature was mixed with that of another, and parts of this one combined with that one, and the egg of one scripted with the essence of another. So it says many wicked fruits of this black art now crept the lands, defiling the mother earth. Okay, so just want to make this connection here about the egg of one scripted with the essence of another. That sounds just like it said alcohol is used to extract the essence of the soul. So this is a dark art that was practiced by Lucifer. And like I said, this is a part of his plan to use our bodies for joy rides, because now we're going to go over to the chapter 8. So this is before the book of Noah. This is right after the tree of life had sprung up in the center of the garden, and all the dormant bodies and sleeping souls of the various species of plant and animal life were awakened. Okay. And but here is where the Luciferians were dismayed because they had not prevented the planting of the tree of life on this world. And then they had this second plan. Okay. So they planted their own tree. I talked about this all the time. And this is where he said he was going to appear to Adam and Eve and tell them that he was their God. All right. And then he said he was going to forbid them to eat from the fruit of the tree of life and command that they eat only from the tree that he planted. Okay. And that the tree was evil disguised as good. So there was no good on this tree. And that it was a cunning mixture of good and evil, of truth mingled with falsehoods, because Lucifer knew that the young souls he wished to ensnare would not knowingly choose the dark path. And that's another reason why I'm making the video about the alcoholism, because I don't think a lot of people understand what it is you're partaking in and what are the real consequences, the spiritual consequences of alcoholism. But here is where he explains about using the bodies. It says, Lucifer communed with his master Satan, and behold, the voice of the serpent spoke with Lucifer, saying, let my priests mix good with evil, for it is in robes of good that I shall dress my seeds. And only one thing is truly needful to enslave mankind. He must be made to eat the flesh of animals, for then we can enter his body and enjoy his senses. Yea, and we can whisper in his head, and he will believe that our words are his own thoughts. So you get some of them bad ideas, you have to know where they come from. Don't be owning that crap. It's not you. If you are partaking in any of these practices, and he says here, no matter if his scripture declares love one another, as long as he eats flesh, he will be unable to follow those rules. And so this is what's wrong with the world today. This is why the wars and everything is, because the thoughts of our hearts and mind are not our own, and they're not from Yah. They're from the whispers of these demonic forces. And he says here, because we mix those good words into his scriptures, our religion of blood sacrifice is made more palatable to the young souls we wish to ensnare. Yeah, because when you partake in the eating of animals, you fall on the ladder of consciousness, and you can't really understand things around you. And so it's the beginning of his plan. It started in the beginning. It's these three bodies of Satan. Yeah. whole bunch of trickery going on. And it tells us that Satan tends his garden. Okay. And so that is like the prelude to the Adam and Eve story. That's what's coming next. We're going to do a little bit more talking about these stars really quick, because he ended up talking about in the Hebrew, the name meant trodden underfoot, but it was also called Rosh Hashanah, or I would just say Rosh Satan. And I just Googled that and looked Rosh Hashanah, confounding Satan. And so there's a whole lot that could be said about this. This is when they blow the shofar. And I was doing a lot of research, but I still don't know enough about this stuff to really like tell you what they do and really what it means. What Bullinger said must have some weight, because he also said in the Arabic it means the subdued. And if you do a little bit more reading on this confounding Satan, so it says here, during our Rosh Hashanah prayers, we make no mention of the fact that Rosh Hashanah is also Rosh Chodesh. That's the beginning of the new month of Tishri. And one of the reasons for this is in order to confound Satan so that he will not know that this day is Rosh Chodesh, Tishri, and thus will not come to accuse us on this day of judgment. The concept of confounding Satan is also offered as the reason for the custom of not blessing the new month of Tishri on the Sabbath that precedes it, as we do during all other months on the Sabbath. This is Sabbath that precedes the new month. All right, so it's a lot, like I said, but it does connect to subduing Satan. And so, okay, so just a little bit more on this Rosh Hashanah, because, all right, so this is a little clip of one of Santos Bonacci's presentations here, and it was all about a debate about Rosh Hashanah, that confounding Satan we were talking about. And let me tell you, it's not just Satan that is confounded, because back in the 2nd century, this Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Joshua were arguing, saying that it starts in Aries. And I guess Eliezer was saying, no, it's in Tishri, which would be September. And according to mainstream astrology, that's Libra, okay, the scales. But according to Bullinger, if you've been following along and you've watched all of those videos in this Witness of the Stars, Bullinger says that it starts with Virgo and ends in Leo. And so there's a whole different alignment going on, but I know that the Aries alignment is for commerce. And then I got really deep into it last night. So like I said, there will be another video on this sooner or later. I went back to the stellarium. You're not going to believe it. But I wanted to see what year was the sun in Aries at 0 degrees Aries, because 0 degrees Aries does line up with this ghoul, right? And so, like I said, I can see the story of the Megillah better in the stars with the names of the stars than I can for the King James Version, because this is the sun on the heel, right? Bruising the heel. And these stars here are called the enemy. This is Cetus, the beast. And then you got Algol. And so this would be the lamb crushing the head of the enemy, of the serpent right here. And this is 0 degrees Aries. And check out the year. I had to go negative on it. 1659 minus. So I don't know, really, I'm not good with math. That would be like 3,000 something years ago, according to our calendars. But this is where they locked the date. And if you notice, it's not even March. It was in April. And so, I mean, there's a lot to be said. In my mind, the wheels are turning in my mind, but yeah, this is lined up with the story of the Lamb coming again and crushing the head of the serpent. Even Leviathan, Draco is up here at the top. Okay, so it turns a little bit when you do that, but if you were to follow it straight down, let's see that all of this lines up with the Lamb of God crushing the head of the serpent. Mm, mm, mm. That's the name of the stars. Now they say the Lamb was slain here and that it was a noonday darkness. And so you got to go a few years back for the sun to be over here, where the Jewish calendar says that this is during the crucifixion. The sun was here, it says. But it was kind of hard to line that up. I think that was like 1544. And mind you, this is negative, so I don't even know. We'll be going towards 0. But this is also called right ascension, and there's a lot of information on it in the Witness of the Stars. I was doing the side by side, man, and I can see that some of this language, like consummated, that also means like a marriage. And then told us that this was the rule of Ammon, the hidden, and that was what happened with the Lady Christ. And man, I'm not going to keep going because it could take the rest of this day to really break down what I'm seeing, but I wanted to share that with you. All of that is lined up way back then. And now, if I were to put the calendar to now, when is the spring equinox? 322? The sun is way over here. So it's right here, like in Pisces. We're almost in the age of Aquarius now. I guess I can see the connection where the Jews are calling it the head of the month, but it's actually the head of the adversary, okay, Rosh Hashanah. And they're doing all these practices to confound Satan, but really they've confounded everybody. Santos Bonacci, because I think that's still a issue in the Jewish religion, is when is the beginning of Rosh Hashanah? When is the Jewish New Year? Because a lot of us are confused. But this Rosh Chodesh means the new moon. So, man. And they have to add this month of Tishri, because other than that, it's talking about what we're looking at on Stellarium here. The head of the month. Whoa. Right? I wonder if this could be considered 0, right? I don't know, because it's in Aries, it's 0 degrees Aries, like, I don't know. But there's a lot of light shining up here, guys. So, all right. I just wanted to show you that when you go all the way back, this is the date, 1659, April the 4th, that the sun and the moon were lined up at 0 degrees Aries. This is the foot of the Lamb crushing the head of the serpent. That's what these stars are saying. Not necessarily the Lamb slain, but this was after the Lamb was slain, and this is the works of the Lady Christ that goes on to end with Gabaya. I don't know if you've watched this whole series on the stars, but man, it is juicy. The hidden arm, 0, me star. Wow. Anyway, I guess you know me, I'm hooked on phonics. I could keep going forever about all of these synchronicities that are up here to be seen. But alright, let me get out of here. I'll be back soon. Stay tuned.